Good evening, my name is Garrett and welcome to The Last Call. On tonight's Versus, we have Lagavulin coming in at a 48% ABV, 8-year age statement, versus Lagavulin coming in at a 46% ABV, 9-year age statement. Now, it's been a bit since I've been back to Lagavulin. I've been dancing around all the other scotches around there. However, I thought this would be a fun little comparison because I haven't done this one yet. So, more recently, I should say quote-unquote more recently in whiskey terms, the Lagavulin 8 has become a part of the core lineup of Lagavulin. Before, you could kind of find it, and it was, some places still call it a limited edition. From what it seems like, this is going to be a common staple on the shelf, and Lagavulin 16 obviously is. However, this bottle is what really interests me. So this bottle here was done up during the whole Game of Thrones series, where everything was really popular. And Diageo released a full lineup of scotches that all had special bottlings, unique blends, or in this case, an age statement, where there wasn't too many of those in that lineup, which was really interesting. But I could still find this on the shelf in some areas at a really reasonable price. So my question is, for the areas that can't, how much of a difference does the 8-year have to the 9-year? It does come in a couple points different on ABV, but what else comes across differently? So let's go ahead and find out today. We're going to be talking about notes, talk about taste, and wrap up on a winner and talk about market pricing. So let's go ahead and get into things. And as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of good stuff. If you'd like to see the individual reviews on either of these bottles, they'll be linked up above and down below when they're live, along with some other Lagavulin bottles. Because, well, if you're watching this, you probably enjoy Lagavulin. Oh, it's already jumping out of the glass. Oh, how I've missed Lagavulin. Which is sad because it's sitting right next to me on the shelf. But I have so many scotches, especially in the peated territory. I went down the bad rabbit hole of peated scotches. There has to be color. There has to be color to that. There's no bullshit. There has to be color on the 9. That is so extraordinarily different on color. Holy crap. This is 100 shades darker than the Lagavulin 8. So I'm going to assume because they wanted to make maybe a little bit more fancy, they added that little bit darker color. Because obviously Lagavulin's known to have this kind of a colored bottle here to kind of cover up. Because some people do judge on color. So going clear, they probably had a little bit of the coloring agent put in here. I'm guessing. Because that is significantly different. Enough criticism on the color. Let's go ahead and go for notes on the 8-year version. Oh. So you get the smoky, the peaty, the salty, everything that you want in a good Isla. But on top of that, you're getting this tropical fruit layer. Like mango and coconut almost. Like fresh coconut. Like shredded coconut. Like fresh. Cut off off the coconut. Fresh off the, I'm not saying that. Fresh off the coconut. That's what I'm meaning. There's a pepperiness in there. And this is where you can start seeing where Lagavulin can kind of go a little savory, a little meaty, a little barbecuey. There's just that slight tinge of a meatiness in there where you can find that normally in the 11. It's beautiful. I wish they would keep the 11 around. I squander my bottle like nobody gets to try the 11 but me. Because it's just such a beautiful bottle. But this has everything you want. Maybe a little bit of a sherry note in there as well. Kind of a dark, rich fruit note. Like a plum. A little bit of a dark cherry as well. And just a light bit of vanilla in there. Yeah, just a light bit of vanilla. No ABV, nothing harsh, no off notes. Yeah, beautiful. I love that nose. All right, let's go for notes on the 9-year. Okay. Definitely lose out on a lot of that fruit characteristic. It's got a bit of heft to it. A little deeper oak layer as well. You still get the salty, the briny, the smoky. But there is what do you want to call that? You're starting to get a little bit more of that, like asphalt on a rainy day, hot asphalt on a rainy day. It's just kind of sparking up just a little bit. but the vanilla is a little more rich. It's almost like this is artificial vanilla on the 8, and this is like Madagascar vanilla, where you have the vanilla paste to it, so it's a little bit richer and a little bit deeper on the vanilla notes. But surprisingly, none of those tropical notes are showing up anymore. That is quite a different beast. A little bit of pepperiness in there. Doesn't quite go as savory meaty as the 8 does, but that's a good nose too. Yeah, all right. Let's go for taste on the 8-year version. Ooh. Oily, salty, clingy. Oh, that earthiness in there. Salty, and that smoke. It's like charry smoke. And it sits on that palate and does not move. That charriness just sits so heavy on the palate, but near the finish of it, you get a little burst of fruitiness, that little bit of tropical notes showing up. This is a great sip. Oh, I love the oiliness. This, I forget how great the 8-year version is. Get a little bit of that vanilla in there, but it is definitely charry, sooty, campfire smoke by the ocean. Beautiful mouthfeel to it. That is a great, great sip. Alrighty, let's go for taste on the 9-year version. Very similar. Very, very similar. The big thing I'm going to say is it doesn't go as heavy-handed in the charry notes. It goes a little bit lighter, but it's got a little more depth to the fruit layers now. I'm not saying it's fruitier, but it's got a little more depth. You get a little more darker fruit going on. Definitely not as ashy or sooty or smoky on that taste. And again, coming off this, we're going to get similar things because, again, there's only a year difference on here. The nose was drastically different, but the taste, pretty close. The sherry notes are showing up more on the taste. You get more of I'm going to relate it to almost an Oloroso sherry cask. We're getting a little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of dark fruit, and a little bit of, I'm going to call it over-ripened fruit, a little bit. But you still get all those characteristics of the salty, the smoky, the ashy, the earthy. All those are still showing up. But the big burst here is from that sherry cask that's going on. Again, it reminds me very much of an Oloroso sherry cask because it's got this nutty layer to it. The vanilla shows up a little bit more on the taste as well. Honestly, they're both very, very similar sips. This is just bringing out a few more fruit notes for me versus the heavy charriness that the 8-year version is. All right, let's talk about a winner here. Honestly, they're very, very close. But for my personal preference, I like the 8. That smoky, charry, ashy layers of what you want from a great peated Scotch showcased here. However, if you want something a little fruitier and a little sweeter, I feel like the 9-year version is a good example of what Lagavulin can do at a different age statement. But the big kicker here is the market price section. Because we all know market price is market price, and it's always going to vary. So in my market, I picked this up for like $56, $58, and normally it can be found in the mid-50s to mid-$60 price range on the 8-year version. However, when it comes to the 9-year version, I think I paid about the same price, about $50-some on there. And to be honest, it's a really good sip. However, because it now is a limited edition, or some places marked it up because, well, it's hard to find now, this was going for easily $89 to $100 plus when I'm searching for it online. Is the price difference worth the hunt? And I'm going to have to say it's not. Personally, again, I like the 8-year version. It brings across more Lagavulin than this does. But if you find this for about the same price or a little bit more, I'm willing to pay a little bit more for it because it does have that extra age on there. So I'd say I would pay no more than 70, maybe 70. Oh, man. I would say this would be a hard one because I'm going to say about $70 is where I'm going to top out at on this one to recommend buying. Just because this is about $56 to $65. This is going to run you about, let's just say $65 to $70, I think would be okay. Because in my market, I could find the 16-year-old version for right around $80 to $100. depending on where I'm searching, but usually right around the mid 80s. If you're a collector or love Lagavulin, it's definitely worth a grab at the right price point. I think sub $70 should be okay. You know, pay a little bit of premium because it's a collector's item now. I don't think you're too far off, but if you're in the hunt and you've never had either of them, start with the 8. I think the 8 brings across such better characteristics to it. But after you've had this and you found this on the shelf at a good price, I recommend it. It's still a really decent sip. So yeah, there you have it, folks. Lagavulin 8-year versus Lagavulin 9-year. If you happen to have questions about either bottle, go ahead and ask them down in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer it. And if you have any spirits I should put up against each other for a versus time, also let me know down below. Love doing these A/B comparisons and sharing with you the experience at home. And as always, your last drink of the night, be the best one.
You know, and I really like it might not.